is where's DGE Elaine? Sarah, where's Waldo, right?
Yeah, where's Waldo?
Carmen San Diego.
There you go.
No grass
yeah, I love that
growing
one.
under her feet. Well, it's 6 p.m. and we want to get started. I want to welcome everybody to Sharing the Magic of Rotary. Next slide. And so we're going to be doing this. We wanted to make it a little bit fun, so we asked our facilitators to dress up a little bit like one of the Harry Potter characters. Figured it might be something. We couldn't do this in October for Halloween because we're going to be, that particular third Monday is dedicated to the new member and sponsor orientation district-wide. So we figured we'd press forward. So next slide, Andy, please. There you go. And so one of our session goals, we're going to explore the secrets to increasing membership, engagement, and retention, and welcome everyone. Next slide. And here, think about how did you get involved in Rotary? Next slide. We did a poll and think about, I was invited to lunch or a Rotary meeting. I participated in a Rotary service project. Or were you asked to participate in a Rotary program? Perhaps you're a beneficiary of a Rotary Award, a RILOV, or GSE, Group Study Exchange, or what have you. If you would, just in the chat, just indicate how you got involved in Rotary, and we'll capture that. We'll give you about a minute. Were you invited, or did you come in and just introduce yourself?
I just went in and introduced myself.
Invited to one of the club meetings, invited to a lunch, invited by a member. Next slide, Andy. Thank you. Participate in a service project. These are the primary ways. And so when we look at membership and when we look specifically at our club and that club environment, that club culture, think about in introspect, are we perceived as being relevant, not only by our current members, but how about our community at large? Next slide. And so then, does your club reflect your community? Next slide. And at this time, I want to introduce one of our facilitators and members of our membership committee, Sonia Quintero, and she's our DEI and B chair. And she's going to go through a few slides and present some concepts for us. Thank you. Take it away, Sonia.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to tell myself. So I hope that this moment for me would be an open eye for all of you. Welcome to this wonderful meeting that we're increasing and helping you guys to have more diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. It's so important. Go ahead with the next slide, please. It's so important to know what is your club and what are you going to do about inclusivity, be inclusive, have more opportunities to equal opportunities in our club and have new members. Next slide, please. Okay, what do you know about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging? I think for a minute that if we look around the membership and the members that we have in this wonderful presentation, in this meeting tonight, each one has a different background. Each one have different experience and different opportunities to know where you're coming from. Are you having a background, grandfather with different ethnicity, race, color, abilities, probably religion, socioeconomical backgrounds? Think for a minute where you're coming from. I'm a Colombian, white lady, and I have different abilities, and as well, my status is different. We have to talk about different cultural, sexual orientation, and gender. We all have a different diversity. Next slide, please. When we talk about equity, we have to think about how we consider to provide different levels of support, how we have to deal in our life to make the opportunity to have that equal different aspects in life. You go, I go. You help, I help. And how we equip others to have that equal equity and support one another in different levels, of course. Next one, please. That bring inclusion into our life, and we bring the creativity, and we definitely want to have that each individual who come to our club have a different and unique experience, but first of all, with respect, making sure that everybody's welcome, that we value the skills and abilities that we have, and making sure that everybody's comfortable in ourselves, being ourselves, helping one another. The next one, please. That bring the belonging, the nutrients, the security, making sure that we accept the support and we help one another to have inclusion. If we think for a minute, next, I want to bring up a special occasion. What is a Rotary vision? We, for sure, from the magic of Rotary, I disappear. But look at this. We help others to open doors. How people are in our life. Do we pay attention of what every individual has to offer? You can put that in a perspective, and Rotary is amazing. If we look into our 4-way test, and in my club it's a 7-way test, we know that is the truth. We know that is fair to all the participants in our meetings. We know that build goodwill and better beneficial and better friendship for all that individuals who come to any activity of Rotary. So when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, put your hand in your heart and help others to open doors. As our vision, we truly believe that each individual holds the visual and individual invisible qualities. What are your qualities? What things can you contribute to help others in a unique way to create that inclusion into a club, to create a different culture about how we can value one another? Think for a minute, what can you do in that aspect? Think about the vision that we have. We have intersectionality, which means how we interact with one another, how we accept our abilities, and how we walk that extra mile to interact with others. Look at this. All of this is inclusive, and it's extraordinary how we accept one another and how we practice our life, and especially if we belong to a club, how each club can bring this down, and how we can make sure that we make a special moment and experience through Rotary. Someone just mentioned a few minutes ago that so-and-so, somebody was having a good time in a meeting. How much impact you have when we have a visitor or we bring new members, potential new members? What is our goal? Is just to have the opportunity to have our club grow, really? So we need to create a happy, welcoming environment. What do you do to do that? So include the diverse community, increase the membership, attracting different potential club members, open the doors, experience Rotary through service, through different projects. But I want to know and celebrate different significant related cultural backgrounds. Do you know that this month we celebrate the Hispanic Heritage Month? La herencia hispana. Maybe bring some tacos or chips to the meeting, something about Hispanic, or just a minute about the awareness of this kind of celebrations that we have. There are different months and different activities that we can bring this kind of knowledge to celebrate the significant diversity. Don't look in the stereotypes, just look into the specific groups and let them feel welcome to everybody. And acknowledge and celebrate different genders as well. It's probably something very important that these days we try to do our best to integrate people with equal opportunities. Next, please. How we do this? How, if we look around, I don't know how many of you wear glasses to read. Accommodations is so important. Not any disability is visible. I have not tell you, but I'm hard of hearing myself. I have visual problems, some mobility problems time to time, but what kind of issues you have. You know, people with disabilities make up the 26% of the population. It's the largest minority group in the United States. But if we look ourselves, what do you have in your heart that you feel that you may need an accommodation at one point? How many of you, next one, please. How many of you use a kind of accommodation or request some support? How many of you are able to read that little teeny little letters that we have sometimes in our newsletter? You know, accommodations make a big effort and a little bit tweak of what is accommodating to a large print or a large or different backgrounds. It's easy to read. So I'm going to mention a few of those little few accommodations that we can bring. We need to reflect in our code of conduct, reflect that all the values that we have the responsibility to interact, to make sure that we open the doors in our meetings. Rotarians, Rotaractors, interact, and the world Rotary. Rotarians, we need to know that we need to expect and respect one another, especially in our different programs in the community. How are the ethics, the respect, the code of ethics, the honesty, the integrity that we have? So how we apply that into a club, into the district, in the zone, in the international meetings, in any meeting that you want to have. Even in meetings or in proposals and grants, in a small project in the community, how do you address individuals with disabilities? The handicapped girls, the probably you mention deaf and dumb, probably you say mute, probably a slow person, crazy. You know, those are words that we're no longer use in our world. You know, we want to have first person language that is so important. Person first language. Next, please. Okay, so we need to make sure that we don't discriminate. Discrimination is defined as a conduct that verbal or physical disintegrating often offends people. You know, it's just it's interesting that many times you can be discriminated or you may have a harassment. You know that this is something that we don't supposed to be doing in the Rotary family. Well, we need to maintain an environment that is free of harassment or discrimination. But you know, using this kind of words, that many people with disabilities or with different backgrounds may be offended. You know, the word handicap comes from a very traditional word, and I've been reading some of the grants and probably some of the proposals. I love to look onto the Rotary news magazine and our websites and things like that. How many times we use the word disabled? We want to do the best. We want to help. We have social services that we help, but you know that it's better to use different words. Individuals with special needs, disabilities, so a child with a disability, a person with somebody who is mute. We're not mute, we're deaf or hard of hearing. So use this kind of different words and different accommodations that we need. Okay, next one. Bright the future. We have so many things to you as members. We want to use respect language. We want to support one another. We want to incorporate rational accommodations in their meetings. What that means that probably you have a program with so little teeny letters because you want to have everything in one page. But what if you enlarge the document and give a good size of font so it's easy to read when you're doing a presentation? How we use the background in the presentations, how probably I go to different meetings and people use the microphone, you know, and then they feel nervous, so they want to say, hey, you know what? I can speak so loud that I don't need the microphone. And they put the microphone to the side. How many of you are hard of hearing? I'm losing my hearing. I already use hearing aids. I use FM system. Do you know that for somebody who is shy, is not able just to speak up and say, wait a minute, use the microphone, I need it. And then when somebody asks the question in the back of the room, and then how many hard of hearing people around you didn't hear the question and you answered the question right away without repeating the question. Those are little common sense and little tips to incorporate a different inclusive environment that we need in the Rotary in our meetings. Next, please. I have so many tips and I know I have so much to tell you, but just so little time. But we're here to welcome everybody. We welcome all ages, all sizes, all races, all abilities. We want to welcome religions, ethnicity, nationality, sexual orientation, immigration status, socioeconomical backgrounds, gender and expressions, and most important, identity. We respect all of our group. And how we come with this? Next one, please. What are you doing? What are the things that your club are doing to attract new members? Next. What do we do in the Rotary Club of Mission with this important perspective? Okay, next one. Okay, well, we have a wonderful group that through Rotary, we identified the great community cause basis. We follow our vision and we promote community inclusion, and everybody's welcome in the Rotary Club. As we celebrate 104 years of our foundation, we really think that we can make the difference in the future Rotary. So we have a special motto. Imagine your future, imagine inclusion, imagine sustainability, imagine equity, imagine Rotary. That's the magic of our club. We share the magic of Rotary, helping one another. Next, please. We have a wonderful Rotary Club. It's well known because it's probably one of the, I know for a fact, that is the first club, community-based club. And that means that it's not attached to a university, okay, or college. So most of our members are individuals with equal opportunities. It's a diverse club. It has inclusion, and their goal that they have is just to have equal opportunities, and they promote that with their heart. So we have different activities in common, so we support one another. And actually, Ricky may want to tell you a few things about our next support. We're planning on having a new Rotary Club with STC, South Texas College. And we have 3 different Interact clubs in Mission ISD. And one of the clubs, Interact clubs, is with the 18 plus program that they're individuals with the special needs. So is that inclusion? Of course it is. So we're very proud of that. Next one. Okay, I already said this is a community-based club, and that's the difference. We focus on advocating to make our community more inclusive. Last month, they did a wonderful presentation. If you want to invite them to be part of your meetings, they already have a special meeting, a special PowerPoint about how to be more inclusive in your club. And I completely support the cause and the mission that they have to have that equal opportunities to everybody. Next one, please. Okay, those are activities that we have in our community. A couple years ago, one of our projects, our district grant, was helping young adults with the special needs to identify the abilities that they have to establish their small business. So this was amazing. They opened the doors to opportunities, their activity, and the project really changed their life. So we're proud of telling you guys that as part of our projects now, that we will continue helping others identifying how we can make the difference in our community. So that's my time, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Sonia. That's so important. And it's showing us different ways to look at demographics throughout our community and making sure everyone has a space or a place at the table. And what wonderful information you imparted with us. I know joining us tonight is Ricky Rendon. He is actually the original sponsor of the Road Rat Club of Mission. And thank you, Ricky. We're going to give you an applause for reaching out and mentoring these young professionals. And Elaine Hernandez, you were the president, I believe, of the Mission Club the year that we did our first cause-based, community-based Road Rat
Right.
Club. Again, we want to commend each and every one of you for your contributions and really extend that hand of friendship to Rotary. And at this time, we have a couple of other of our great facilitators. I have Elsa Cardenas Hagen and Debbie High. Elsa's going to share a little bit about visioning. So many of you, as part of that club membership Olympic challenge, one of the last attributes of the games 1 through 7 to get the gold medal or the gold trophy is consider either starting a new club, fostering an existing club that was new, and or consider scheduling a club visioning for your club. And Elsa, take it away to talk about the purpose and the benefits.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Andy, and appreciate all of this. And thank you, Sonia, for a great presentation. So on the next slide, we want to think about reimagining the future, but we want to think about how your club is going to engage. How do you engage your new and your current members for a more meaningful experience? You know, maybe, you know, some of you said, oh, well, I was asked to join. Someone reached out to me, or I was involved in one of the activities. But I want to talk to you about reimagining the future and reimagining this future through club visioning. I want to share with you that Paul Harris once said, Rotary is not an organization of retrospection, but it is one whose worth and purpose lie in the future activity rather than in past performance. Imagine that. We are really promoting this idea of reimagining our future through giving our members that voice to think about the future, to engage our members, to get them active, to follow their passion, and to create a multi-year plan. The next slide. So today's learning objectives for you as you join us this evening is to really introduce this, effective process of club visioning and to talk to you about its benefits and how your club can join in this circle of visioning. Next slide. So one of the things is Rotary, Rotary is going to do exactly, be the model for us in having its vision. And here's the vision statement, that together we see a world where people unite and they take action to create that lasting change across the globe in our communities and in ourselves. So as we think about Rotary's vision, right, we think about how we ourselves in our own communities can really think about that world where we can unite. Rotary also has a very important action plan, right? And Rotary, really sticks to that action plan. So these are the four strategic action plans to really think about increasing our impact, right? We're going to do more good in the world. We want to expand our reach. We want to expand our reach, and we want to include service partners that can reach with us, that can reach with more people. So we want to collaborate, right? We also want to enhance participant engagement. And that's so important because when we get engaged and when every single member is engaged, then they're likely to remain as members in your club, right? And so we also know in today's world, 2024, that we have to think, Rotary knows that we have to think about how can we adapt. So we have to increase our ability to adapt to new and to innovative ways of thinking about Rotary. And you just heard an example about this mission club and their new and innovative ways about thinking of Rotary. So did you know that visioning, this has been worldwide for 20 years in more than 150 districts? We were so honored to have Dr. Z really, lead us in visioning and, 3 years ago. And we're so excited to know that some of our clubs have really taken that, step of visioning. And I know Andy will explain how visioning is a part of this membership. Why is visioning so tied to membership? Because it's through visioning that we really engage our members. Very important to know about this. And so as we collect the data, these 150 districts, over 20 years, what we see is more engagement, which is really fantastic. On the next slide. So what does it do for us? What does visioning do for us? Well, the importance of engaging our Rotary members is very tied to visioning, because what we see is that through visioning, we're going to get that continuity of leadership, vision, and process. We know that our presidents are there for 1 year, but if we have a visioning and this plan for 3 years, then it's that continuity. It's the continuity and the consistency in our club programming. But so importantly is that we have reached consensus through this visioning process towards solidarity in our purpose, our priority, and our action. And this is also a way that we can really think about that conflict resolution, because we can always go back to this visioning to say, was that our priority? This is the voices of our club members. This is what they're saying. And that really sticking to the plan and making sure that we're not just, taking all these various directions, but really very purposeful, well-planned and consistent and well-designed. So this is so important, this visioning process. And when we conduct visioning, next slide, that process, really is that reflection of not only who are we and where are we, but the focus is on where do we want to be? Where do we want to be in 3 years from now, right? And in the club visioning, we're going to help you to, make that plan of where you want to be and follow it through with the ways and, the implementation of how exactly you're going to get there and how you're going to know that you've arrived. On the next slide, you'll see that, I love those pictures. You see all that paper that goes up there. Those are all the ideas that are generated by our club members. And what's so beautiful about that is we get to hear the voices of these club members to say, what is it that we want to do? How do we want to achieve? How will we get there? And this is so important to get that voice, so it's a voice. So when these ideas are generated, then we, really hone in and we really decide about, okay, let's think about these ideas, and we have a process on how we can get to consensus. On the next slide, you'll think about the consensus, and you'll see there that we'll take some time and discuss, go through what is important. Can we prioritize? What are the top 3 areas? What are the top 4 areas? And how can we make that decision about what's most important? And in this way, you see that, we got that consensus, which means we've got our members engaged, which means they have a shared commitment, which means they know where they want to go short-term and long-term, which means that they are likely to get engaged in, let's make a plan and follow through on that plan, and let's take ownership. And in this way, your members will each have a role. Sometimes we get new members and they don't exactly know, what's their role going to be? How can they get engaged? But when we have all of this kind of plan, and also this should be part of your orientation. If you do visioning, part of your visioning and your membership orientation should include where you are in visioning and about this, because it not only helps you, but to keep them, but it really helps that person to realize that Rotary has, an action plan. Rotary has, its priorities, and Rotary is going to show you how you might even live your life, right? Through these ways of thinking about, I'm going to prioritize, and we're going to gain consensus, and we're going to get engaged because I'm going to have a passion for some of these because my voice was heard. So Rotary, on the next slide, what you'll see there is our members are there and they are volunteering. And I know when our club went through visioning, oh my goodness, everyone got engaged. Everyone got engaged in really thinking about, what do I want to do? What's my role? What's that action I want to take? This is my passion. This is my action, right? So we got increased engagement. And when you get those members engaged, you're going to hopefully keep those members and maybe get other members. But on the next slide, we talk about see your club not as it is today, but as it will be in 3 years into the future. So it's like very futuristic, as Paul Harris stated, that we're thinking about where will we be, and we're trying to think about how will we get there. So we know that we need a plan of action. And we know that we need to think that how, for example, how we're going to grow membership. Oh, I want to grow membership by, let's say, 10 to 15 members. Well, how are we going to get there? What are the steps we're going to take? Who's going to take those steps? And how will we know that we've reached there? How can we monitor our progress? And so through this visioning process, we can do exactly that. So it's so tied to membership and retaining our members and growing our membership. Next slide. So the outcomes will be, what about our club? Let's reflect upon what does our club stand for in the community? What are we known for? Sonia just described the Mission Club very clearly. The Mission Club knows themselves. They know what they stand for, right? But what is that membership that we want in 3 years, and how are we going to get there? So that club, that visioning outcome is you really looking at your club membership, the size today, the size in 1 year from now, the size in 2 years from now, and the size realistically in 3 years. But thinking about, is that a top priority? We all know that membership is, but we have other priorities, right? And so let's really reaching and thinking about what are our top priorities, both in the short range and the long range. And the outcome will be, we're going to have an action plan. And that action plan is our working document, our live working document to help us achieve the goals that we want to achieve as a club. Next slide. So as we look at that, one of the first thing is, who are we? And through our clubs, we have them, one of the first exercises that they do is really coming up with their club motto. Our club, right, the Brownsville Sunrise Club, ours is shine bright and vibrant with Sunrise Rotary. The Southside Corpus Christi Club is make a difference. Giving is living. Rotary Club of Corpus Christi Northwest is serving our community and changing lives. So do you see how that club motto, right, is so very important, because it's like your identity and your visioning and how you come up with that goal. That is also the process. It's the way that you have the actions that you're going to take and how you want to do there. All right. And so as we look and think about who should attend, well, everyone should attend, but especially your leadership teams, not, your leadership team of your club president, right? That president-elect, right? That president nominee. And of course, your club members and the club members that are already serving on committees that are really thinking about that impact that they want to have and where their passion lies, because they want to work towards deriving these beautiful desired outcomes for the club and for the community at large. So as we think about our club leadership, but how are we going to get there? We have to make sure that our club leadership is engaged and wants this process, right? So the club leadership has to agree that yes, visioning is the way to go. And the club leadership has to determine and find the location. You also have to, have it's, couple of hours. So, the snacks and food there takes us about 4 hours. And those 4 hours get you to the point of where you've identified some general, what we call those master plan. And then this is where the rubber meets the road, the implementation, where we have an impact leader for every club. And that impact leader will help guide that process, will help monitor the progress, will help you design that action plan and make sure that you have those structures in place to make sure that our members are engaged. So visioning, it's really a way to hone in on who you are, your priorities, get your members engaged, and have that living document, which is your action plan, and monitor your progress for making a difference in your community and in the world.
Outstanding, Elsa, and thank you so much for sharing this information with us. It's just another way that our clubs can help to nurture and create that belongingness and showing relevance, not only to our members, but to our community at large by that engagement and asking them, to share and participate in the direction of the club for the next 3 years. And now we'd like to welcome Debbie High, who will describe how RLI can enhance our members' leadership development, increase engagement, and ultimately will result in increased retention. Take it away, Debbie.
Thank you, Professor. I appreciate that. And thank you to Professor McGonigal for, we've got information on the Olympics page of where you sign up for visioning too, so we can put that in the chat later. But now we'll talk about Rotary Leadership Institute in District 5930. So we are really excited to have this program. We also are part of the Lone Star division of RLI, which serves 8 districts in Texas. And on the next slide, you'll see a little bit about the background and history. Just as visioning is not an official program of Rotary International, it is endorsed and recognized, and so is Rotary Leadership Institute. So it's a grassroots organization. It's a training program that has been growing since 1992, and its purpose is to help future club leaders and members, not necessarily just club presidents, because we're all leaders within our club. And we're also all leaders within our community in our roles that we play there. And it offers a quality training and education experience. And it has spread to over 400 districts worldwide and translated into 10 languages. So on the next one, always we go with the why. So why would you gain? And you can gain proficiency and mastery in the areas of leadership development, strategic planning. We just talked about that action plan, improving communications, exchanging ideas, team building, public relations. So that's one reason to go, and then we'll break down the parts. There's still more reasons on why to go. And it might be international perspectives, member engagement, service project leadership, Rotary knowledge, team building. And you don't need to answer this right now. If you want to share some comments in the chat, that's great. But just a little bit of reflection would, and I know we have a lot of graduates on here and people that are on the track to be graduates of RLI too. But what would these skills be helpful in your personal and professional growth? Would these skills be helpful for all Rotarians and Rotaractors in your club? And just think about that. So we have 3 parts. Part 1 is really the focuses on the Rotarian. The insights into leadership starts with the base of our foundation, talks about engaging members, our ethics and vocational service, My Rotary World, and service projects. As you move into part 2, then part 2 really focuses on Rotary leadership engagement, team building, the role of clubs to attract new members, and targeted and impactful club service projects. And I think we see one of our Rotaractors in that picture there. I like it. And Luis put in there, RLI is Rotary orientation on steroids. That is a great comment, past governor. And we see one of our Rotaractors. She was our first Rotaract to graduate our RLI program in our district. So we were excited to have Stephanie there. So you can see her back in that picture. And then when we get into part 3, which we have several signed up, I think we're going to have probably 8 graduates out of 5930. I'll have to do the count. Coming up next week with the division is doing it, and I'll talk a little bit more about the courses. But part 3 focuses on building a stronger club through club visioning, public image, international service projects, and graduates this year, as in past years, who have completed all 3 parts since the last district conference will be recognized at our upcoming district conference, Dreams United, a celebration of Rotary excellence, on April 26, 2025 in Corpus Christi. And district and regional course offerings will continue to be offered this Rotary year. We're excited to announce. These courses are in person in our district, generally on a Saturday, and generally the times can vary from 8 o'clock to 3:30, can vary from 9 o'clock to 4:30. It really depends on the venue of when we are allowed in and when we need to be out. And then we also have the opportunity for online RLI Part 1, 2, and 3, which several on this Zoom with us now have been participating in. And we're going to, again, have some graduates coming up. And that's offered by our Lone Star Division RLI. We actually have several of us that are going to be have been facilitators during this series within our course. And Andy Z also provides, he's a faculty member and also tech support. And those are offered at least twice a year. We're just finishing up the series with part 3 coming up next week. And then again, we expect probably 8 graduates out of our district and growing. And that's usually over 2 evenings. So it breaks it up into a smaller segment, which some people really like. And they're usually 3-hour sessions via Zoom. So this one thing I get questions on, and Andy Hagan is our chair for our RLI program in 5930, is the sessions do have to be completed in order. You've got to take 1, it builds for 2, and then it builds for 3. Because if you start with 3, a lot of the information won't make sense, and it just builds naturally on that. You can take 1 part in person, 1 part virtually, switch back to person. You can do it any way you want because the curriculum's the same. So that's the exciting. It's just the platform is different. And you can even take a course in a different district if you want to. So testimonials, you can see some on here. We have things like, I'm so glad I jumped on the bandwagon when I did. These trainings have already proven invaluable. For those who are not able to take this last time, do yourself and your club a favor and sign up for the next course offering. And and I've got Kent in our chat says, the power from my participation is the sharing engagement and the participants experience together. Each of the topics discuss are shared with all participants, and the participants share with each other. By including all we learn from one another and come to understanding from each other, experience good practices, innovative discussion. So thanks, Luis and Kent, for your testimonials there. We appreciate that. So here are some QR codes. We will be giving you a copy. We'll be posting it, we hope, on the website, a PDF of it. But there's a QR code for our district, and there is a QR code for the division. But also in chat, I will put a link to the registrations, because just a few minutes ago, RLI Part 1 registration was just opened for our district. And we are excited to announce that in person on November 9th will be RLI Part 1 in Brownsville at the Brownsville Public Library, the main branch. And so that registration just opened minutes ago. It's first come, first serve. So if you haven't started on your RLI journey, we'd love to see you at RLI Part 1 in person. So you can register there. And on that same link, we also have a link to the division course, Part 3. Just 2 weeks ago, we finished Part 2. So if you've already completed Part 1 and you've already completed Part 2 and you're looking for Part 3 to be a graduate, then we would love to have you. And there's still time to register for RLI Part 3 with the division. And that is September 24th and 26th from 6:30 in the evening till 9:30 at night. And you can get more information on both of those courses using that link in chat. So we'd be really excited to have you. So, a lot of clubs have brought club board members, club officers, they've committee members, and we are now going to turn it over to Professor Dumbledore. Take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you so much. And so for each and every one of you here this evening, just a quick question. Do you see the correlation between being or becoming a vibrant club and an opportunity to increase your membership engagement growth, and ultimately the outcome will be an increased retention? Or are you seeing that your members are ghosting you? So this is why we do what we do in membership, and I think we have to coin that wonderful saying that our district governor Zara Sarani left with us as she goes through her club meetings. You know, the reason why people are attracted to Rotary is that club experience. And the reason people leave Rotary is because of the club experience. So it puts us all on notice that we need to do our best and put our best foot forward to encourage people to join us, you know, and through our projects, hopefully attracting new members more than what we have to do to ask. But remember that we do need to extend that hand of friendship and invite them to our clubs, our projects, and our fundraisers. And at this time, we'd like to open it up for Q&A for anyone that might want to, you know, ask questions, whether it's involving the Rotaract Club that Mission had started, whether you have questions on visioning or the Rotary Leadership Institute training, the club membership Olympic challenge. We're going to open that up now, and we've got a few minutes here before 7 o'clock, so we'll leave it to you now. If you would, I think, Andy, we could go to the full screen. Oh, before we leave, I'm going to say we don't need magic to transform the world. We carry all the power we need as members inside ourselves already, by J.K. Rowling. So we're keeping to create hope in the world and continue to share that magic of Rotary. Let's open it up for Q&A, Andy. If anyone has any questions, use that reaction button down below and raise your hand and we'll call on you.
Kent has his hand up.
Sure, go ahead.
Well, I think you've done a great job explaining the idea of how we might be able to take our clubs and activate and mobilize what we're doing. The idea of visioning. I know that there's been, how many clubs? Has there been 10 clubs, 15 clubs?
It's close to 15 now, and we've got several who are scheduled as we speak and more working that direction, working towards it. Yes,
It'll likely be
I
about
think-
20 clubs.
by the end of this year.
I think one of the things that I've observed, and I've been engaged with it a little bit, has been that we go through the process of having I want to call it semi-professional, but it's probably more like professional group of people that do the vetting, receive the information for the clubs, get the information, boil it down, go back and refine that into specific ideas and proposals and thoughts from the club themselves. The carry forward on building an action plan. Have we developed a process to support clubs in doing that? And the third thing once we have the action plan, can leadership in the club be able to put that in front of their members so that they all understand, and every year update, you know, the 3-year process that's going forward? Have we found any success in that? Have we, are we working towards that? I know it sounds good to
Kent,
say, but
I'd like
it's
to
really
answer that.
difficult to do.
Yeah, Kent, that's where the rubber meets the road, and it's the implementation. So that's why it's so important to have an impact leader. For example, at our club in Sunrise, we're now going to be getting into year 4, and we're going to be engaging in our next process. In other words, and how was that done? You have to have that impact leader, and you're absolutely correct, Kent, that what we did is not once a year, but twice a year, bring it to our club members. Hey, here's where we are. Let's each of the, we almost had lanes for the action plan to update, and really it was a living and working document. And so I think that was very important. And when we met with our governor recently, we presented our work through our visioning and our action plans and really shared with the governor. And then the governor at the end said, well, I have no questions, basically because you covered everything I was looking for through your visioning, because the visioning gives you that structure to try and really address all those key areas that Rotary has in mind. So it's really the impact leader. It's really getting, for each, action that you have, that we have it very spelled out. And that you're right, Kent, that we have to be looking at that on maybe on a quarterly basis. We did it, twice a year, really looking at it, and we reflect upon that, and we really do use it as we live by the action plan.
Thank you, Elsa.
Thank
I'd also like to add that as clubs embrace this concept and process and identify their impact leaders, we as impact leaders, of course, it's like I'm the impact leader for the Rotary Club of Brownsville Sunrise. And I really wanted to test not only becoming a facilitator, certified facilitator to assist in the visioning process, but now going back to the implementation side and monitoring the action plans and how well do the action plans match goals, and realizing too that goals and plans are fluid as we encounter challenges and or seek out other opportunities. So it is fluid and can be changed, but for the most part should be embraced by the club leadership for the current and upcoming 2 years. That would be your club president-elect, and your club president nominee. And with that being said, the participants or members of the club voiced their opinions, selected, for example, what they thought their signature project should be, what community projects we should undertake, and also the international. But I think as an impact leader, now is our challenge to convene impact leaders across our district, look at the positive and negatives, what went right, what didn't, and come up with some best practices, and also become sort of a cadre or a cohort that can assist other clubs getting over that first step. Once they've done the visioning process, then we as the visioning team move back. Of course, we want to stay in touch with them for the next 3 years, but we ask for progress. How do you, give us a quick update of how you're doing? And some clubs are at varying stages or levels of where they are today. And I think this is where the impact leaders can play a really important role, convening to help support clubs within their areas and or regions to suggest ways that they've done it, not to say it's the only way, but to continue to foster and promote that collaboration between clubs and sharing those best practices. And
If I may say, Andy,
yeah,
while Elsa is growing younger, your work in Rotary is making you look much, much older. I'm sorry to say that. How long did it take to put the makeup on, though?
Takes a while. Thank you, Chris. How about any other questions in reference?
Andy, we've got DGE Elaine's hand up.
Yes, Elaine, go ahead. You have to unmute.
She's unmuted, but she looks like she
think she
froze.
froze.
She's in the wrong movie, but we love having her here.
Yes.
We do
I
not
am
discriminate,
so excited
right,
about that
Sonia?
notion.
Yes, we hear
Now
you.
we can hear.
Here I am, I'm back.
Yay!
The internet goes on and off here. Okay, I'm so excited about this year and the impact, the concept of an impact leader in the club, the ability to move forward on visioning, and especially Debbie with the idea of an action plan coordinator to really help us embrace the 4 goals of that Rotary action plan and to really build that into our own club planning. So I'm looking forward to learning more about this coordinator for the district of the action plan.
Yes, and Debbie, she is our current action plan coordinator for the district. This is a new launch. It was recently introduced, even at the zone level. They're talking about how important it is, not only for districts, but for clubs to set goals not for just year 1, but think about the continuum, as Elsa had said, over 3 years. So what does that mean? We need to consider and collaborate even at the district level, district governor, the district governor-elect, district governor nominee, and possibly even the district governor nominee designated to ensure consistency and continuity. And that's at the district level. But think how powerful this will be at the club level. Because as we know, everything and anything that's going to be achieved is going to occur at the club level and with your members and with your club leadership. So this is so important. And so when we as certified vision faculty members talk about, oh, we need to appoint or have the clubs have a member volunteer to be the impact leader, technically, would suggest strongly to our group that we talk about being the action plan coordinator for the club. Then we can start convening, as Kent was asking, where do we seek help on the implementation side? This is where we can build that pool of knowledge and experience and then be able to reach out to clubs within our immediate area. So it's not any undue hardship for any one of our representatives, but we can cultivate this base at the grassroots level. And Debbie, would you like to add to this?
So I'm looking forward to, I've not received the official training from Rotary International yet, but I'm looking forward to additional information that they'll be putting out. We're supposed to go through a training for our new position. I see this action plan champion that each club will have is our impact leader. So the great news is we're already doing what Rotary International is moving towards. We just, again, we're ahead of the curve. So we're excited about that. The other thing I've seen, at least on Facebook, on some conversation going on back and forth, is that starting July 1, we're going to see exactly what you're talking about for clubs. And therefore, I think visioning, since I'm so glad we have it in place, because clubs, instead of setting your goals for 1 year and reporting to Rotary International, they're going to actually be leading you towards this, is looking at a 3-year plan. They're doing the same thing for districts, which is exciting. And the great news is it's even more exciting because we're already on that process. And I feel like have several years under our belt as far as moving in that direction. So I'm really excited about that. We'll be sharing more information as I receive information and, training from Rotary International. And if I can have the floor for just a question, I wanted to dovetail, Sonia talked about Rotary is for all people, right? And I think that's so important. I wanted to bring up one of the things that came up when I was served in my position as a Rotary coordinator and served 29 districts in 25B and also 29. One of the things that came up is still that perception that Rotary is for those rich folks. And in some cases that, because they're thinking maybe what the dues are, maybe what the fees are, you're required to pay for lunches. So I think that's an opportunity. While clubs are autonomous and they get to set their own dues, their own fees, except that if you've paid a joining fee once, you can't pay again if you're a transfer, like Joe and I were 6 different times and had to pay a joining fee each time we moved. That Council on Legislation took care of. But I think it's a great opportunity to dovetail into what Sonia was talking about, is that Rotary is for everyone. And there may be opportunities to reevaluate fees we're charging or joining fees we're charging, and those types of things to be exclusive of who we might perceive as people that aren't maybe worthy of joining our clubs. So it came up several times when I was a Rotary coordinator, a conversation. Again, it's just a conversation that I think clubs need to have. It definitely comes out in visioning, right, Elsa? When they go through that visioning, if you want to grow by 100 members, we've seen it's part of looking at that opportunity. Is there still a way that they can be involved in Rotary in your club? And maybe it's not in the traditional way of having to have a required lunch or those types of things. But I think that's some things, food for thought, and some things to think about, is just to be mindful, again, that clubs are autonomous, but it definitely has come up and it's still a perception out there of Rotaries, like, oh, I could never have enough money to join Rotary. I can tell you when I was the group study exchange coordinator, when I was in a club in West Virginia, the joining fee in Japan, $10,000 US, and this was back in 2000. So women couldn't even think of joining Rotary at that time. It was the men primarily that got to, because $10,000 joining fee was almost cost prohibitive. But guess what? They've had to reevaluate on their side, because guess what they found out? Their population was dwindling on their clubs, and they wanted vibrant, Rotarians to join, including women to join. So that's just one example out there, but I just wanted to throw that out there, and I thank you for letting me have the floor, Andy.
Thank you. Thank you, Debbie, for imparting that information. Just a couple of things before we close. Recall that we do have an upcoming Dreamcatchers Leadership Summit and a Peace Pole dedication in Laredo this coming Saturday. So hopefully you all are planning to venture out there. This is literally where we're inviting anyone, the club leadership, as well as those individuals involved in maybe membership to foundation and public imaging, to come together. And you're really going to see the ways the dynamic should work with regards to this rotary wheel. Is not static. It's made to turn and roll and pick up speed. It's so it's like that triology, if you will. And we're looking forward to seeing everyone there. And then tomorrow, there will be another Zoom 6 to 7. It'll be conducted by Tom Gump and Lloyd Campbell at the zone level. Many of you may have received the link. If not, reach out to me. I'll put my contact here and I'll send you the link. It's 6 to 7. They're going to talk about goals, the importance of goals, and the goal setting process. So you see that there's a lot going on, and this is specific to membership now. So I will put my contact information here in the chat, and anyone that wants to reach out to me, just send me an email and I will forward you that pre-registration link.
And Tom Yardley from Portland, he put in, remind me how we schedule a visioning session for our clubs. Excellent question. So I did put in Mary McQueen's email. Also, I put in a direct link. It's off of our Olympic challenge because it was one of our Olympic challenges to go for the gold. I put in a link for the visioning flyer. And then which is kind of a general information flyer. It has Mary's email and also our governor's. And then I also put in a link for our process file, because sometimes people like to know just the basics, like what is this process when we start going through this? And so we have 2 links for that too in the chat.
Thank you, Debbie. And it is 7 o'clock, so we will officially close the session, but I want to extend a thank you to Andy Zamaripa for being the IT coordinator tonight. Laura Vasquez is here. We have Darlene Peterson was helping watch the chat. PDG Luis Cavazos, our internet lead coordinator, is also on with us.
We need a picture.
Yeah, and we,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
we get a picture.
We need a picture. Wait a minute. We need a picture.
Yes, we need a picture.
Put on that
Yes.
beautiful
Yeah, let's do
smile.
this. So let's see, everybody,
on your
Smile,
video,
everybody.
show your camera
Adriana.
Video.
and look straight. At the count of 3, look straight right into your camera, and 1, 2, 3. And let me get one more because we have 2 pages of participants, and thank you very much for attending. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you all.
Excellent.
Thank
We'll see
you. Have a
next
good
month,
evening.
October 21st for the new member and sponsor orientation for those of you who are interested in joining us. Thank you.
And what should they be
you.
at this Saturday, Professor Dumbledore? What should they
was the
be at
question?
this Saturday?
This Saturday?
This Saturday.